Hey folks, Stephen Lucky here with another episode of Chief Talks here at Gardopia Gardens. I am the Chief Executive Officer and I'm with some amazing folks here.
Dominic, the Chief Operating Officer of Gardopia Gardens.
Sherry Lim, Chief Learning Officer for Gardopia Gardens.
And so hopefully y'all been tuning in. This is our August episode, so we'll be doing a reflection of July and doing some forecasting into August of how you can get engaged with our mission. So looking back into July, Dom, you're back here in the country, had an amazing trip. Tell us a little about what you've been doing this summer.
I did. So this summer I went down to Veracruz, Mexico in a program called CREA, which is an acronym for Coalitions in Regenerative Ecologies and Agriculture. And this is with the University of Texas at San Antonio, UTSA. And it's also in partnership with Alamo Colleges. So a group of about 20 people came to Veracruz to study about regenerative agriculture, which is essentially farming in a way that is looking at the preservation of culture. It's looking at the preservation of the environment, and it's very grassroots oriented. And so there's a really long lineage of regenerative agriculture in Veracruz. And so we've been hopping, going from farm to farm, learning about the best practices. This is everything so just like, tilling, how are we looking at the preservation of our soils and really, working down into the microbes and honoring that space. And also fertility is a big thing. And so what ways are we not relying on commercial fertilizers, as well as looking at compost teas and earthworms. There's just a lot of practices that go into that. And so being able to go and venture there, the goal is that we're speaking with those local farmers and that we're having a partnership with them to take what we learn and take it back here into San Antonio. If we think about our city's climate action adaptation plan, our urban agricultural opportunities is really important, and urban training. So we need to have workforce training programs, and what better way to learn from, Veracruz, Mexico, our partners down there, and then bring that back, especially at a collegiate level. That's really exciting. And so I'd have to say, to be in the classroom again and working with students who are they're younger people, right? We're all between our 20s and 30 around that area. I'm the oldest person there because I got the gray hair, but it's awesome to see that this is still a discipline that's going to be practiced, not just the stereotypical 50-year-old farmer, right, or 60-year-old farmer. You're seeing young people really be invested in that.
I love it. And so I know in Jess Mays, he's working with a nonprofit in that collaboration, right?
Yeah.
And he texted me, he's like, hey man, we got this grant. Do y'all want some interns? So this is a multi-year program, correct?
Yeah. So the goal is to do it every year for as long as we can.
Sure.
And it would be great for, I'm coming this time, but, hopefully in the future, different Gardopia people. We would love to we had a conversation about potentially bringing down our videographer who's shooting this video down there, having drone footage, really exposing San Antonio and the greater Bexar County community to different ways of learning and shining light on these different systems because it's needed, right? We know that in 1994 when NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, was passed under Bill Clinton, that this really was, that legislation, it hurt the Mexican small farmer. And so we had conventional goods that were coming into Mexico, and that was hard to keep up with the pricing because they're very, very affordable. And so this is a resurgence of that to say, how can we reinvest back in small farms? I love that idea. It goes along with our CAP 2, which is really focusing on small farmer cultivation. Yeah.
Well, I love to see that you're gleaning so much from it. You posted in our Slack about ethnobotany and the origination of the vanilla orchids. So, one of the things that we're considering, and we'll talk about the strategic plan later, adding to our core values is justice. And so you talk about NAFTA and how that really gave a disadvantage to small farmers in Mexico, right? And how can we make sure that the small farmer can thrive for years, decades, if not centuries to come?
Yep.
Well, that was a fun trip. Huh?
Yeah, it was a lot. Oh, golly, it was hot. But Texas is still warming up, but hopefully in these next few weeks we'll be on decline. Could keep my fingers crossed.
Slowly, yeah,
Hopefully,
maybe a month or so. What about you, Sherry?
So
What's going on in July?
We had a great summer at Ella Austin. Wonderful kids. We planted a ton of plants at their beautiful garden. And then we finished up at Essence Prep with their food truck experience. And so these students, their whole summer project, which was a project-based learning kind of, just experience for them, was to make a food truck. And we wanted to make as many foods as possible grown from the garden. So we got to plant a lot of plants. We even planted some fruit trees. And so we had a great summer with them. Awesome kids at Essence Prep. So yeah, that was our summer here. We had some workshops here at Gardopia. Some lunch farming lunch clubs, and then we also had a food preservation and canning workshop. So those ended great.
Yeah, with the Victory Gardens, that's continuing to go, and we really want to empower people right through education. Like, you grow all this produce, what do you do with this? So canning and preserving, and then the Garden Lunch Club as well, right? Like getting the kids, getting the families with their parents together, and cooking and harvesting and gardening together, creating that intergenerational activities. And those two sites that we were at, which is Ella and Essence, they do have a common denominator, which is the Spurs, right? So the Spurs came out and planted about 15 trees at Essence Prep for Earth Week and Earth Month. And then HEB and Wimby came out and helped us rebuild those gardens over at Ella Austin. So it's nice to see our East Side community has that common thread, being supported by local businesses, and we were able to provide a good experience to those kids because of those supporters. Well, let's look forward into August. It is hot. The dog days of summer are still here. I'm sweating daily. But that being said, we're still alive. So what do we have to look forward to as we come into August for Gardopia as an organization?
Yeah, so a few things. To be prepared for the upcoming school year, it's really important that we provide staff trainings. These are different professional development opportunities to our educators and to our stewards. So making sure that we're brushing up on the latest irrigation, looking at the best model practices for engaging our young learners, and so on and so forth. Sherry probably knows so much more, but those are really at the forefront. The other thing is, with our board of directors, every 3 years we go through a strategic planning process. So sitting down with our board, with our community members, with our staff, this has been like an 8-month process of going through our strategic plan. So ironing up, getting the last few adjustments in our strategic plan so that we can go forward with that and really create our trajectory out for the next 3 years is really valuable. And then lastly, off the top of my brain, probably not the, oh my gosh, this is amazing, but the 990. So this is our taxes. We work to always provide our 990, which allows for increased transparency for Gardopia. So that is a multi-step process. It requires all the information for the past fiscal year. It requires looking at all of our finances, looking at our grant opportunities, so on and so forth. And it's just being able to have that for our public is so valuable in terms of transparency.
Well, yeah, definitely. Tax is always fun. We'll be filing those. Our fiscal year ended on May 31st, so October 15th. A little bit of time left, but got to stay on those. Our strategic plan, we'll probably be emailing some of y'all out in the community to get some feedback on our current draft, because we want to make sure that we're holistically thinking about the growth of Gardopia and engaging our stakeholders. And like you said, training of staff. So Sherry, what kind of training are we going to be doing with our staff, and what else is going on in August?
Yes. So we, on the teachers' end, we are preparing our teachers. We've done some classroom management, and we're going to be doing some more classroom management professional developments, and we have some other professional developments in line. We also are preparing all of our schools, communicating with teachers with the garden beds, and sending them the information they need to have Gardopia at their school successfully. And then, what was the other thing I was going to say about school prep? I forgot.
It'll come back to
It'll
me.
come back
It'll
to
come
me.
back to
It'll
you.
come back to me, yes.
In the meantime, let's take a little break for What's in That Box? What's in that box? So, today, as you can see, I have some special tape from Life Space Gardens, okay? And I have a little story about Life Space Gardens. When I was in the initial stages of thinking about Gardopia, people are like, do market research, what organizations are out there that are already doing this work? And it happened to be that Vancouver is a hotbed for urban agriculture. They have one group that I first found, which was called Victory Gardens Vancouver. Shout out to them. They had a really cool animation / video, and I always want Marcos to do it. One day, eventually we'll do it. So they're doing really good work. And then I also found LifeSpace Gardens. LifeSpace Gardens creates self-irrigated planters, also known as SIPs, SIP for short. And so, we've been going back and forth a little bit on Instagram, and I've been following them probably for a decade now. And finally, we connected actually when they saw we were doing the project at Ella Austin. And they're like, hey, what size are those beds? I'm going to send you down something. So this is what was sent down. Let's check it out.
I wonder if it's a sip.
Oh, I wonder if
Drum
it's
roll.
a sip. I wonder if it's a sip. Oh, okay. Let's see here. This looks like
A liner.
the wall
Oh.
for it. So this is like a actually this is a impermeable, almost like a pond liner.
Okay.
And then these right here look like garden wells. Okay. So essentially if you have a garden frame or whatever, then you would line it with that liner. And then you put these down, these garden wells right here, and then you have a water reservoir underneath it. And then you can put the soil, I guess, on top. I need to read more into the directions, but I'm excited to be building some self-irrigated planters here at Gardopia. So Wes and the team up in Vancouver, shout out y'all. Thank you so much for sending us these our way. We'll be making these probably, folks, doing a workshop. So stay tuned for that opportunity to learn more. I really like self-irrigated planters. Have y'all used them before?
Not that one.
Not these ones, but
This
just
is
in
different.
general,
Yeah, I've
in
used like
general.
wicking
Yeah.
systems.
Yeah,
and
wicking
things like
systems.
that,
Yep,
but
yep, yep.
This is totally
Yeah.
new. I've never seen them in garden beds like this. So.
Little SIP installation guide
Wow.
right here, y'all. And so, what else do
I
we
see.
got going on here? Oh, it's like Christmas every month here at Gardopia, because we get to see what's in that bag. This right here goes in, and so like this will go in the bed, I guess, in a 12-inch bed, and then when you fill it up with water,
Oh,
it'll tell
I see.
you
Oh, okay.
how much water you have,
That
and
makes
then as it
sense.
gets low,
Yeah.
then it goes back down. Boop. That's their logo. This little bird. It's almost like a hummingbird.
It is,
It looks like a
yeah.
little bit. But lifespacegardens.com, I believe. Again, the reason I like self-irrigated planters is because you don't have to water as much. I usually do them for my reservoir. I'll use lava rocks, and then I'll do like a landscape fabric or something. But this is just a great form as well. They allow you to water maybe like once a week, even like in the summer. You fill them up all the way, and the water, essentially the roots grow towards the water so the plants can sort of drink as they desire to do so. So yeah, that's what's in this box today. All right, y'all. So we talked a little bit about July, what happened. We're looking forward to August, but the people are really here for one reason and one reason only. For the garden tips. I know
Tips.
why y'all are here. I know why it is. So, tips for August. Sherry.
So this is my tip for August. Don't forget to mulch. And remember, you can always go get really cheap mulch or free mulch from the Bitters Recycling Center from San Antonio. You can always sign up to do chip drop with one of the apps or partner up with a landscape company, and they can probably get you some free mulch as well. My
Okay.
second tip is don't forget to fertilize. Use that organic liquid fertilizer or chicken fertilizer. Highly recommend that for August.
Okay, so chip drop. I've never used chip drop before, but I did have a friend who was an arborist, and his company would come drop off chips every so often. You can also, like you said, go to the city, the Bitters Brush site here in San Antonio. But if you're not in San Antonio, maybe you're in New Braunfels, or maybe you're in Bernie, or maybe you're in LA, wherever you might be, I'm pretty sure that your city or municipality is chipping up a lot of brush and looking to get rid of it. Got to give a shout out to Solid Waste, who's given us thousands of yards of mulch over the years for our community spaces. Do you have a preferred type of mulch? Because there are different types of mulch.
I like double grind mulch.
Okay.
That's from our area. So the best mulch I would recommend is from trees that are from San Antonio.
Why is that?
I just feel like it's better to put up as a part of our ground. It's more sustainable. If
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
getting pine mulch and it's from Canada, that doesn't make any sense because we
Uh-huh.
shipped it here. So.
Sure, yeah. That's a good one. I know a lot in the Houston and East Texas, they use a lot of the pine needles because of what they have, right?
Yes.
Access to cedar. We have a lot of cedar in the region, so using cedar is good. I think for pest resistance, has a nice little smell, a little different color to it.
Yeah.
In the past, I've also used pecan mulch.
Yeah.
I guess that's certain times of the year, right, when we have a whole bunch of extra pecans. And then, like you're saying, just a general ground. So what I was gonna say about the chip drop, or what I got from my friend who's an arborist, sometimes it was a little different than double grind, right? Because they're chopping it out in the field immediately. Those machines aren't like heavy. I mean, they're heavy duty for sure, but they're not like commercial mulching facilities. So sometimes I would get longer shreds, and you get a lot of leaves.
Yes.
Also, it wasn't bad at all. It was just different. So something to think about. Okay. And then fertilizing definitely is key. Dom, I think you're going to tell us a little bit about planting and fertilizing, and what should we be doing to get started?
Yeah, so it is August, and we need to be thinking about what we are going to plant in the next coming months. So it's a good time to, if you have a greenhouse or starting your seeds inside, it's really important. Get the tomatoes, get the peppers, super valuable. You may be able to squeeze out a little bit of basil if it doesn't become a little bit too cold. You can also look at taking, you have your brassicas. You might want to wait maybe until early September, late August, preferably around 85 degrees is what you're looking for to get your brassicas. So the things like your broccolis, your cauliflowers. I'd hold off a little bit for spinach, probably till around maybe late September would be good. And your lettuce, you definitely want to wait till around October-ish. If it's still too warm for lettuce, it tends to bolt or get really bitter. Some people like bitter greens. Some people, I for one, really enjoy a gourmet mix for the lettuce as well. But, go and look at Gardopia's materials, and you'll see exactly what to plant in accordance with just the grow time. The second tip I would give you is be thinking about your fertility. And so Sherry said it, throwing down your fertilizers, especially if they're like alfalfa based or plant based, they take some time to decompose so that your fertility actually is in the ground. It's a process known as mineralization. And so our chicken manures, particularly poultry, that stuff mineralizes quickly. So you water chicken manure and it's readily available very fast. If you're going to be using some type of plant-based, like an alfalfa mix, you may want to start watering that a little bit earlier. Before you're planting, I would try to go at least 2 weeks. If you can go 3 weeks, even better, just so that when you're putting that brand new tomato seedling, that the fertility is ready to go. Pre-fertilize a little bit earlier.
Okay, nice. Yeah, so planning, getting ready for the fall. Summer, I mean, we still got a month and a half of summer, y'all, right? Here in San Antonio. And we know the temperatures really don't drop until mid-September. I used to think on my birthday, which is September 18th, it would be cool, but it's been 95, 99, even in mid-September. So, having a greenhouse somewhere that's cool, like you said, maybe in a garage, indoors, it's a little counterintuitive to be starting stuff so early, but you really need to catch that wave, because before you know it, it's going to get cool in October, and a lot of stuff isn't going to grow as well. Okay. I'd like to add to that, just making sure that you're writing out and planning your garden, right? So maybe you have 4 raised beds and you want to do a little bit of a crop rotation. We do have a little garden journal that we like to show people to use. It can track your garden over 5 years. You can use the Farmer's Almanac, has digital software as well as GrowVeg, right? There's a lot of stuff online. But just make sure that you are getting ready for the fall season, even though it is the middle of summer and hot as the devil's armpit. All right, folks. Well, thank you again for tuning in to another episode of Cheif Talk. Thank you to all our members out there supporting our mission. And until next time, peace.